another edition of the Real Estate Cam here on blog.franklyrealty.com. My name is Frank Yosa, and today is a nice day, so we're going to have a convertible real estate cam. Today I want to talk about 3 random things that happened in the last couple of days regarding bank properties, bank offers. We're going to talk about a property that had 22 offers. We're going to talk about a bank that did not that gave a verbal ratification and whether that's legally binding, and these people are 3 weeks after their close date. And third, there was someone went and did a walkthrough, and the HVAC unit out back on a bank property was completely stolen or gutted for material. So first of all, this one person wrote me through the blog, instant messaged me, asked about a bank property that he just had to have. It was just great price, and I looked it up, did a Frankly CRA, where you do a comparative realtor analysis, where you do a background check on the realtor, and sure enough, I was able to squash his hopes quite quickly. The realtor had sold a few other bank-owned properties that had gotten bid up $40,000 above. So before he can get his hopes up too high, I was able to tell him that this is the agent's strategy, is to bid up the property, and to beware and get ready to bid it up, because it's not going to be something that you're going to even be able to offer a low ball offer on. Sure enough, contacted the agent, found out that they had 22 offers. 22 offers. People say, oh, it's a buyer's market, we can low ball everywhere, and there's no buyers and we're the only renegades that are going out and buying houses. No, there are buyers out there. 22 people all spent a few hours putting together a contract to buy this one house. My estimate would be that at least half of them went above list. How far it's going to go up, who knows, but it could easily go from, it was like a 250K place, could easily go to 300K just based on 22 offers. So that was one. I'd never heard of 22 offers in this market. I'd heard of 7, but never 22. And who knows how many they have now. Secondly, this person had put an offer in on June. They put in an offer. The bank countered that offer in writing. So both parties, the first round is in writing. And then the second round, the purchaser decided to counter back another $10,000 in writing. And what they got back was a verbal okay. They did not get it in writing. And they proceeded to do a home inspection without a written contract, another major no-no. And we're now 3 weeks past the closing date. The closing date was supposed to be August 20th. And we're now well past 3 weeks, and they still don't have a ratified contract, and they keep on being told by the listing agent, they keep on being told, any day now we should have the signed contract, and they're not telling them what's going on. There's probably something wrong with the deed. There's probably something that someone's not telling you. The agent might not know, but to make you wait a month and a half to counter something and giving you a verbal okay is not okay. Now, one thing I'd have to ask is, I'm not a lawyer and I cannot give legal advice by law. I don't know, is that giving legal advice, saying that I can't give legal advice? Anyhow, I'm in law school at night, so I have enough to give you the right questions to ask. Everyone always says that real estate contracts have to be in writing, right? Well, that's probably the case. I'm not a lawyer. But I do remember hearing about a case where a counter offer was considered legally binding, because both offers, there was an initial offer in writing, an initial counter in writing. So the concept was that all the terms were in writing, that both parties understood them. That's a central purpose for having contracts be in writing. But then this person countered and said, countered verbally, saying, not countered, they accepted verbally, saying, yes, we'll take this, but then they decided to sell it to somebody else for more money. And my understanding was that the judge found that the verbal acceptance was acceptable because both sides had, at one point in time, everything in writing. So from there forward, verbal is okay. So watch out for people that give you verbal, when you give verbal acknowledgement, that can be that might be construed as an offer. So with that property, I told her she's got to keep on looking for other places. If there's something fishy going on. I took a quick look at the property, and it was like 50 grand less than everything else in the neighborhood. Too good to be true. Still listed as active. Something's majorly fishy. I mean, her entire family was already moved up to the DC area, and now living, I think they're having to rent a place or stay with relatives until they figure out this home thing. That really sucks. Then this last person, they bought a place, and through the, I don't know if it was a home inspection or through the walkthrough, they found that the HVAC was being torn apart. And they said that they bought the house as is. As is a very confusing concept. It sounds simple because it has two words, as is, but in every state it's going to mean something different. For example, in Virginia, everyone, 99% of contracts, sign an as is disclaimer / disclosure saying, well, the basic premise is, you are buying this house, buyer beware, you go inspect it and don't sue us after you close. Go ask a lawyer for what that really means, but that's my understanding of it. So every house, to a certain degree, has as is. Now there's other types of as is where you're trying to say that you're not going to buy it with a home inspection, but when you buy the as is it as is in the contract? It should say whether it's as is as of time of contract, as is as of time of the home inspection, or as is at the time of closing, which is the default in Virginia. So what would happen there? I don't know. You probably have to ask a lawyer about who'd be responsible for situations that happened after you inspect the property. My suggestion would be to tell the listing agent what happened and see what they suggest. You might have grounds for getting out of the contract, but as far as renegotiating it, I don't know. The banks, to a certain degree, might be willing to call your bluff and be like, you know what, don't buy it. We had 7 offers on it. We'll just go to the next person and tell them, hey, there's a 2 or 3K problem with the HVAC, and somebody else will buy it. Oh, here's a fourth story that was interesting. Someone put in an offer. They put an offer in on a bank property, and there were 7 other offers. And the listing agent said, the initial preliminary instructions said that they had to be pre-approved by the bank that was offering the properties. Countrywide does this a lot. They require a pre-approval from their bank. I guess the idea is to increase the number of loans that they might be able to do by at least getting their foot in the game. Seems to be more of a pain in the ass, and that they're going to lose more money by doing that. But this person did the pre-approval through Countrywide or whatever the bank was, submitted their offer, and then was told, we will only accept your offer if you actually do your loan through us. And the person was asking me, can they do that? Can they do that? Can they force me to use their lender? Again, I don't know. You have to ask a lawyer. But my understanding is that sure, why not? With the exception of some RESPA violations, which I'm not sure if it would be a violation. If the bank ratified the offer and then tried to make you use their bank, that would be one thing. But if it's just part of the counter, why not? Let's say they get a $5,000 kickback, or let's say that the problem with this person was that the loan rates were too high for this bank. They were, let's say, cost me $5,000 more. Well, then take that all into account. If it's a $500K house, let's say you offered $500K, whatever, and let's say you think it's worth $550. Well, if the lender that they're making you use is $5,000 higher, then that's kind of like a 505 offer. So then you have to decide, do you want the offer at 505? A lot of new constructions will do this with their closing company or with their lender, saying, if you use us, we will give you $10,000 closing cost credit. Sometimes you can negotiate that out. Sometimes you can do a split settlement. But you just have to say, hey, if this lender is $5,000 more and they're giving me $10,000, net it out. It's basically a $5,000 closing cost bonus. They then told me later on, oh, by the way, not as if it was like a side note, the realtor was the husband of the lender that they were requiring me to use. Now that opens up a whole new can of worms. That does not sound good. Because the listing agent is supposed to be working in the best interest of their client, not the best interest of their wife.